this lesson, I want to show you the difference between isopropyl alcohol and blending solution. Now, there is a big difference. For the longest time, when I was working with alcohol inks, I couldn't justify purchasing blending solution because I didn't really see that there was very much of a difference. But let me assure you, I'm going to show you 3 examples of how different these two are. Now, this is isopropyl alcohol, 99%, 91 and up is all good, that you could use. Now, blending solution is basically isopropyl alcohol with a little bit of glycerin in it. So I'm going to give you in the manual your own basically DIY mixture that you can easily save a ton of money and make your own blending solution at home, because this stuff is ridiculously expensive. So let me go and show you step by step, just the difference between the two that I have found over the years. And hopefully with this information, you can then go and decide where you want to apply it in the future. So generally, I'm going to be showing you, so this is going to be blending solution and isopropyl alcohol. Okay, so on this one, and I'll show you a bunch of different examples. So I'm going to put just a drop of alcohol alcohol ink on each of these pages, and I'm going to show you just how much and how different these two are. So let me just flip these upside down because I'm going to be tilting them. So with the isopropyl alcohol, this is kind of the effect that you're going to get if you're just tilting. Okay, dry that. That go on its own. Let that do all its movement before this one dries too much. Immediately you can already see the difference between the two of them. I'll just kind of let those flow. Look how slick this one moves, whereas in this one is just much more confined and doesn't really move a ton, right? So this one will spread out onto the paper, because what happens is the glycerin that's in the isopropyl alcohol causes it to be super slick and move all around. And it also blends in with the pigment so much more, whereas in this here, it just kind of carries the pigment. So immediately you can see a difference. If you want to extend your alcohol inks, you really want to cover a very large space, then the slickness of this is going to carry it. So that's just one example there between the two of those. Now, this example I'm going to show you is kind of how you can maybe do like a thing called like a fade out, which I do show you a step-by-step approach of how to do that. So if I'm going to put some alcohol down, just kind of, so this is going to be isopropyl alcohol, and this is going to be blending solution. Okay, I'm going to dry each of those. So right now this is just our ink on the page. Just going to give it a good dry on both sides. Just plain old ink. Now, to be fair, we'll make sure we have the same amount of each. You can kind of see. Okay. So I'll show you with the isopropyl alcohol first. So if you are looking at doing like a fade out, to allow the alcohol to go in and mix in with the color. Kind of swirl it around a bit. Around with your finger to kind of mix it a little bit more, so it has a more uniform kind of look. Isopropyl alcohol mixing in with our color. And we're just going to dry. In and out. If I want more of the fade out there, where did my pipe back go? There it is. Kind of let it mix in. Pick up the color. Just pushing it in and out. Right, so that's just kind of the idea, kind of how it can blend out, and that's isopropyl alcohol. Now with, I'll leave that there. Now with the blending solution, a little bit of a different story. Make sure I put just as much. Reactivate it a bit. Okay, so you're already seeing a different kind of blend happening, right? You already see the difference between the two of those. If I want to go solution, it's probably one of the more profound differences between the two. A little bit more blend, solution. So already you can kind of see the difference between the two. If you want that very wispy kind of mottled look, then isopropyl alcohol is for you. If you want a much softer blend out, something that's a lot more uniform, then you're going to be looking at using the blending solution. Now, another example is I just want you to see side by side. So if I put a line of our color down here, and then I add isopropyl alcohol to that line, and I watch it flow down. This is kind of what you're seeing, right? Kind of move it around so you can kind of just see. Dry it. Right, so this is your ISO, and this one's going to be blending solution. Now let me show you the difference here of what it's going to look like. So I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to immediately put some blending solution down and allow that to mix in with each other. Make sure I put the same amount that I did with the isopropyl alcohol, and let's watch them flow out. A bit of tilting like I did with the last one. already you can see, look at the difference between the two of those. This ends up blending like completely, being almost one uniform look. As in, the isopropyl alcohol makes a very, very distinct separation that kind of occurs. So you can see the difference. You can see where the ink or the colors start to separate and go down. Whereas in this, it's pretty well blended straight through. So that's another example of that. Now if I want to show you just really quickly what happens when two colors kind of come together, let me show you with this. It's not going to create the prettiest color, so let me show you blues and greens mixing together. So if I want to put down, let's just put down a line of this, a line of this, and let's go blending solution versus isopropyl alcohol. So with this here, you see quite like an umbra fade out between one color to the next color, which is really unique. So blending solution's really great for like if you want to do like a sunset or sunrise and you want that really gradient kind of look. Alcohol ink, you still have a bit of a gradient look, but it's definitely less uniform going through than the isopropyl alcohol is less uniform than the blending solution. So just show you what happens when I add a little bit of more blending solution versus if I add a little bit of more isopropyl alcohol. Now this is quite a difference here. You can already see a huge difference between the two. Let me give it a dry. You see that? And what you're seeing here is basically almost like a cancel out. Like it really whitewashes away your color, whereas there's a lot more pigment left behind with the isopropyl alcohol. Now, so that's iso, and that is blend solution. I'll show you one more thing, which is quite remarkable when it comes to alcohol, rubbing alcohol versus the blending solution. Now, if I were to go and I were to take just a regular paintbrush and I would dip it in my alcohol ink, if I wanted to, white out a space, say I wanted to put a line across, see how much just to lift. So some lifting happening. So just keep dipping it back into my alcohol. So that's what you get when you're using just isopropyl alcohol to lift something. So there's still a bit of a stain left behind, but generally an all right lift. I'm just gonna clean out this. Now if I go ahead and use my blending solution, so I'll just put a little bit down here. It's quite slick, it moves quite, and I want to do the exact same thing. paintbrush. Keep using the blending solution. You can already see the difference between the two of them there. You get a much cleaner result. Bleeding back into it. Okay, and I could continue to work at that, but you can already see much whiter, much more of, it's bleeding back in, much more of a white line as a result. Like, it doesn't matter how much alcohol I keep rubbing over that, it's not going to get any lighter than that. So that just kind of shows you want to really white out areas. That blending solution is going to be the one that you're going to want to pick. So that's 3 examples of the differences between the two. Now I just want to show you one more thing. I'm just going to go to the back of this. So I just want to show you really quickly what it looks like when you've got more than one color of alcohol. So I'm just going to lie a line of that purple down. Get this one open. There we go. And then I'm going to let a line of this green. This green is guana. So I'm going to show you blending solution. Right? Show you how that kind of moves all on the paper. Versus isopropyl alcohol. See how the colors, they go together, but at the same time, you know, they're still a bit distinct in their own way. So basically we've created this whole new color. I'll show you once we dry, because it's much more obvious when we dry. Run some of that off. So you can see immediately when you have blending solution, to look closely, blending solution will create almost immediately its own new color. It blends quite immediately, whereas with the isopropyl alcohol, there still is a separation of color and quite a distance of it. So that's just another example of you know, the difference between the two. If you want a really soft watercolor effect, blend, and like maybe to do like a sunset or sunrise, you'll get a really beautiful wash when you're using the blending solution. When you want the colors to be a little bit more defined, then definitely consider using just rubbing alcohol. But that is the difference of the two. You can create gradient washes with this blending solution as well. But yeah, I just wanted to give you kind of all those 3 examples to give you a clear indication of just how each one moves and how each one fades out. But that's the general idea.